well, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to share. You'll see that I have a chair, and I forgot my bigger pillow. So let me go grab that real quick. Let's gather up our goodies. So if you happen to have a chair tonight, you might want it. We'll do a similar class that we did the other week. So I was using the chair for like our Prasarita Padottanasana and Parshvottanasana. So it still gives you some foundation. You just don't have to go as far. And also the end of class today, I'd like us to do legs up the wall. Now, some of us might be close enough to a wall that when we get to our final pose today, you can scoot yourself up and be at a wall. If you don't have the wall, the seat of the chair would be great because you can, get your blankets and everything set up and elevate. You could also swing your legs over the chair. And if you don't have the wall or the chair, you'll just use your pillows and blankets tonight. But that's for the end of class. We will start our class today in child's pose again, like we did the other day. So a couple other things though. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. I have all my props tucked away because I didn't teach yet today. So I do want us to have our yoga strap or a scarf to work as a strap or your long bath towel, because we'll also do our nice Supta Padangustasana towards the end of class. So I have those things waiting for you. Yoga blocks, if you have them, those might come in handy. Some type of eye covering for the end of class as well. And then I have my bath towel and my meditation cushion to sit on. So those of you that have been coming to class regularly, you probably have your pile of goodies all ready to go. So our child's pose tonight. Let's start in a wide knee child's pose. Knees wider than the hips, big toes touching. If you want a little bit more supported version, the mosquitoes are coming in. Take a blanket or a pillow in front of you. And you can take a couple pillows, cushions, folded blankets, and we can use this as a little bit of restorative child's pose to stretch out our low back and our hips. The arms can tuck underneath that pillow, turning the head to the side, placing the hands on top of the pillow, or dropping the head over the edge of one pillow. I kind of tucked mine under the chest so I could relax there. If you want a bigger stretch for those arms, you've been working on the computer all day, spread your fingers out wide, extend your arms from your shoulders, and really try to melt the belly, the heart, and the head towards the ground. So I'll give us a moment to loosen things up and get comfortable, figure out what child's pose is best. And then we'll close those eyes and start to reconnect to our body this evening so that we can make sure we're really in tune with how we feel. The more connected we are, the more mindful we are, and then that helps to turn our practice into a moving meditation, moving our body with our breath, keeping the mind connecting to the body and breath, and then also moving safely for the body. So continue to let the weight of the body sink towards the ground here. Feel the muscles across the face soften. We do want the head making contact with the ground. If it's not, then again, use your pillow, use your props, use your support. Continue to let the sit bones fall down and back towards those heels. This is also a big stretch for the tops of the feet and the ankles, and purposeful compression on our knees. Let go of any unnecessary tension and tightness from our day. Honor, recognize the areas that we might be healing and taking care of today. Continue to let the whole body relax as it absorbs itself into our practice, and spreading our awareness now to our breath. Simply observe the body, breathe in and breathe out. Remembering that every inhalation is an opportunity to expand, to fill ourselves up with that fresh air, prana, and energy. Every exhale is an opportunity to let go. Cleaning everything out, emptying the lungs of stale old air, emptying the body of stale old energy. Let's all take one more big breath. This can be our biggest breath of our day yet. So on our next inhale, we're gonna fill ourselves up, expand side to side, front to back, through the belly, the back, the rib cage, all the way into that throat. And next exhale, take the time to empty everything back out, every last drop from the top to the bottom. Put a little effort into this exhale, squeezing the breath out of the body. And then inhale, breathing floats the head and the body back up, and we'll reposition ourselves and go right into tabletop. So have your fingers continue to be nice and spread, hands underneath the shoulders. Joints are stacking here. We are pushing into the ground, so nice strong arms. Did you all lose me?
No.
Good? Okay. Okay. So pull in through that low belly. Remember, a little bit of space between the knees and the feet. Thigh bones are perpendicular to the floor. And keeping those hips level, stretch your right foot back. So this is where we get that other benefit of child's pose, opening up the back of the knee. Now shift your weight back, pressing that heel towards the ground to intensify the stretch. Exhale, bring the knee down. Give your left foot a stretch back, stretching out those toes, shifting your weight back. Be mindful of where your head is in space, and remember to keep both hands equally weighted. Exhale, bring it on down. Inhale, re-extend the right leg behind you, little strengthening. So let's float our right leg parallel to the floor. Nice active foot, toes point down. Start to use a little bit more of your core here, pulling that low belly in, and extend that left arm forward. Palm in, thumb up. So our spinal integration. I like to do a little balance right away because it gets our brain into our body pretty quickly. Give me a big breath in. Try to lift that arm and leg a little higher to strengthen your back, especially if you've been sitting a lot today. Exhale, bring the hand and the knee down. Keep those hips level. Left foot stretches back. Squeeze your left side, hover the leg parallel to the floor. Nice active foot. Adding that right arm, reaching it forward. So you're lengthening away from your midline, but you're using your midline to stabilize that low back. Strong and steady as possible. One more big breath in. Lift a little higher. Strengthen the back line. Good. Exhale, knee and hand come down. A few rounds of our cat-cows. When your wrists want to take a break, remember, rounding through the fingertips, fingertip grip, or nice strong fists, punching those knuckles into the ground. The breath is our guide. The inhale takes us into our gentle back bend. Relax the belly, lifting the tail and the crown of the head upwards. On the exhale, draw that low belly in, scoop the tailbone, look to the belly button, and round the back. And then just follow your rhythm here. The inhale and the gentle back bend, again, counters a lot of the sitting that we do. But the exhale helps stretches the muscles, especially between the shoulder blades. Feel free to do one more of each or hold on to one of those variations a little longer if it feels real nice. And then we'll come into a neutral position and we'll walk our hands about one hand's distance forward. So the arms are a little bit more 45 degrees. As you exhale, draw your hips back towards the heels. Swing them over to the left. Inhale, bring them forward and over to the right. So we're drawing a nice big circle, rolling those hips clockwise. Now as those muscles start to loosen, you might do a little bit more dipping and diving through the shoulders, the neck. Just whatever kind of feels good to loosey-goosey everything, get everything loosened up here. One more this direction. Next time your hips come back towards your heels, we'll reverse directions. So you'll inhale, swing them to the right, forward, shoulders over wrists, and then exhale around and back. This might be a smaller movement. It can be as big as you want. Again, neck and shoulders can get into the action here. One more this direction. Nice big hip circles. More mobility for the shoulders, head, and neck. Next time you come forward, that's me in more of a kneeling plank. So tuck your toes under at this point. Start to lower your hips a little closer towards the ground, shoulders over wrists. Kneeling plank position, head in line with the spine. On the exhale, bend your elbows back. Let's lower all the way to our bellies today. Keep your chin forward, keep your elbows tucked in. Flatten out the tops of the feet. Keeping your feet wide if you take care of your low back, or zipping the toes and heels up if you want a little bit more strengthening. We'll flow 3 times up and down into our cobra pose. So on the inhale, strengthen the upper back, lift the chest, squeeze your shoulder blades in. On the exhale, tuck your chin and drop your forehead to the floor. The inhale will float the chest. Gaze slightly forward. If you want a little bit more, lift your hands up, more powerful. Exhale, float the forehead and the fingertips down. One more. Inhale, Bhujangasana, lifting, lengthening, squeezing the back. Exhale, drop it down. Inhale, floats the head up. Tuck your toes under, scoop the tailbone under, and push back into the ground to bring our body up. Keep your toes tucked under as you walk your hands back, and we'll sit back on those heels to give our wrists a break. Big stretch for our feet here, and we'll do our praying mantis. Modification, lift your hips up so you're kneeling. Fold your mat under if you need a little bit more cushion for those knees. 4 fingers touching. Inhale, pinch towards the ground. Bring your fingers to your thumbs. Now really pull, pull, pull those fingertips to the forearms. Make your praying mantis. And as you exhale, shake those hands out back down to the ground. Pinch. Inhale, pull, pull, pull. We're also in broken toe pose, so we'll feel that in our feet. Exhale. Just one more. Pinch and pull it up. Exhale, shake it up. One more time, walk your hands back forward through tabletop. Keep your toes tucked. Hands move slightly forward, arms at 45. Draw that low belly in. Press the ground away, and we'll float up to our first inversion, downward facing dog. So if you need to adjust your stance here, go ahead and do so. Your hands should be equal distance apart, wide as your shoulders. Fingertips played nice and wide, rooting down to the mound of the index finger and thumb. Simultaneously, externally rotating those upper arm bones away from the ears. Relax the head. Open up those inner armpits, stretch the side bodies, all the way back to those sit bones. Continue to round the low belly in, belly towards thighs, thighs towards the back of your mat. And if you haven't done so already, walk your dog a couple times. Drop one heel at a time to the ground, bending the opposite knee. Another nice big stretch for the backs of those legs to open up the eyes of the knees, to counter the sitting we may have been doing today. And let's take one more breath and try to find stillness in our pose here, driving the heels towards the ground. Remember to bend your knees a little bit more deeply if you have tension in the low back. On the inhale, look forward. We'll baby step feet to hands, hands to feet. Uttanasana, forward fold. So we're still upside down in our inversion. Your modification for the back is to bend your knees and plant your elbows or your hands on your thighs so you don't have to be all the way upside down. Those of you that want the deeper stretch, reach towards the ground or grab a hold of your elbows to ragdoll. And we'll take a moment here to also just sway the shoulders, release the head and neck, let go of any tension and tightness around the shoulders, but do keep your feet, your legs, and your core super strong. Lower half of the body supporting the upper half of the body. Little back strengthening here, or halfway lifts. Fingertips to shins or higher. Inhale, open the chest, lift it up, squeeze your back, iron it out. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. A little bit more strengthening. Locust your arms beside you, palms face in, crown of the head extended forward. Good. 2 more. Exhale, fold. Remember, the further you go, the more work for your back. Inhale, lift and extend. Squeeze that back, especially between the shoulder blades. Exhale, fold. 1 more. Big breath in, halfway lift. This exhale will set us back to Utkatasana. Arms reach forward and up. So our fierce pose, make sure your foundation, nice symmetry there between your feet. Toes point forward, knees to toes. Shrug those shoulders away from the ears. Continue to pull that low belly in. Let's bring our hands to our heart tonight. Just take the shoulders out of the equation. Get into a little bit more balance right away. So hover your right foot from the floor. See what happens. Bring that foot down. Breathe and hover the left foot from the floor. See what happens. Bring that foot down. Let's sink a little bit further down, really driving those sit bones down, strengthening that lower half. And then release your hands down, and on the inhale, draw that nice big circle, straighten the legs up, reach it all the way up to extended mountain, stretching the front body, palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart. So if you need to move in your space for our next balance, go ahead and do so. Palm tree pose. Inhale, draw that big circle up. This time, float your heels up. Stretching everything up towards the ceiling. Exhale, lower the hands to heart, heels down. So keep your focus on one spot. Let's do 2 more of these. Reaching, lifting, lengthening. Exhale. And 1 more. See how tall we can get. Stretch out those feet. Strengthen those ankles. Reach, reach, reach. Exhale, lower down. All right, good job. So we'll get into some of our standing work here. I'm first going to have us do our Prasarita Padottanasana, so wide standing straddle. If you have a couple blocks that you want to put towards the long edge of your yoga mat for support under the hands, books, a stool, or you want to grab your chair, if you have one, feel free. I'm going to use a chair tonight because I know I'm extra tight from all my happy sitting today. But from the side, we'll start neutral position. So from mountain pose, you can float your fingertips in front of the chest, and as you inhale, take a nice big step out on your mat. Remember, we want to start with those toes facing straight forward. Fire up your quads. Float the head on the shoulders. Arms are strong, and maybe your ankles are as wide as your wrists. On the exhale, bring your hands to your hips and take a hold of that pelvic bowl. So you're finding that top rim of your hips, and we turn our toes slightly inward. So we start to internally rotate our thighs. That will encourage an anterior tilt in the pelvis. Draw your elbows slightly back, lead with the heart, strong core, and as you exhale, we'll start to tip our hips and come into our straddle. Now, depending on how much movement we've done today, it is the end of the day, so usually we are a little bit more looser than in the mornings. However, like some of us were saying, this might be the first time we've moved our body. So some of us might be ready to go deeper into the pose. You're welcome to do so. Just don't collapse the front of the spine. Keep the length through the front of the spine. The inhale, we create space. The exhale, maybe we're able to move into that space. If your fingertips are on the floor, that's fine. Remember to soften the knees. Keep your quads lifted. 4 corners of each foot equally balanced. You can always pick up your toes. You might be able to walk your hands between your feet, fingertips in line with the toes. If you're there, your drishti will stay right underneath the tip of the nose, or drop the head to look between your legs. And we're going to try to take a couple more deep breaths here. Now in that whole back of the legs, inner thighs, you get a nice big stretch. So today, let's inhale into our halfway lift. We're gonna hold here. So I want your spine to be in more neutral position. If you have a yoga block, place it right underneath your nose. We're all gonna bring our left hand down to the ground or our prop. And then as you inhale, I want you to reach your right arm out and up into a straddle twist. Your back can stay level, or you can do a slight pelvic tilt to stretch the opposite inner thigh a little bit more. Exhale, bring the right hand down to the ground or your prop. Inhale, left arm sweeps up. Now you're either keeping your hips in neutral or a slight tip in the pelvis sideways, and you'll feel that more in your inner thigh. The gaze can try to look upwards. Exhale, bring it down. We'll do one more to each side. This nice heart opener here. Stretching out the shoulders. The right arm will come up one more time. Exhale it down. And then one more time to your left. Exhale, bring it down. We'll all meet neutral. Make sure you're lifting up a little bit. Make sure your legs are strong. Take some weight out of your hands. Exhale, one hand at a time to your hips. Inhale, lead with the head. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Float it all the way up. Inhale again, reach your arms up. Bring your palms to touch. Exhale to center. We're gonna go right into Trikonasana from here. So your toes are turned in slightly. I want you to turn your toes so they're facing straight back towards the long edge of your yoga mat. Re-extend your arms up from your shoulders, palms down. If you are gonna add a prop to one side, we'll start with our right side. You'll pick up the right toes and turn your right toes to the front end of your mat. So you're opening your right hip, but keep your heart and shoulders open to the long edge of the mat. Little tip in the pelvis here. Keep your core strong and the side body is nice and long. Inhale, reach to your right. And as you exhale, we windmill those arms. Now I'm choosing unsupported triangle, but you're welcome to use your chair, your yoga block. Avoid collapsing that right knee, so soften it. The leg is straight, but not collapsed. You should feel that stretch up the back and inner thigh. And then you wanna roll your torso more upwards towards the ceiling. The head can follow, keep the neck long. 2 more breaths for everybody here. Now, super strong legs and core, our inhale pulls you up out of the pose. So use your muscles, bring the body up, pick your right toes up, turn them straight forward. Other side, lift your left toes, turn them to the short end of the yoga mat. Externally rotating the left thigh, but trying to keep your hips and heart open to the long edge of the yoga mat. Soften that knee, pull up the quad, tip the pelvis. So you're doing a little lean into that left hip. Both side bodies stay long as you extend. The exhale windmills your arms. So this pose helps stretch out those inner thighs, back to the legs again. You want to feel like we're leaning against an invisible wall. Draw your right shoulder back, keep the neck long, looking down, forward, or up. Relax the face. 2 more big breaths for all of us. Again, super strong body. The inhale will pull us up out of the pose. Left toes turn forward. And as you exhale, just kind of drop your arms around, noodle them, roll your shoulders a couple times, and then heel toe or step, step, step those feet together. So we'll approach Parshvottanasana a little differently tonight than we did the other day. We'll just set ourselves up with square hips to begin with. So again, if you're going to use a prop, we'll start facing to our right. Actually, right or left doesn't really matter yet. Never mind that cue. I said maybe I'd do it differently, so it quite doesn't matter. I'm going to have my chair seat waiting for me, but you'll have your prop. So we'll face the short end of our yoga mat. Our feet are parallel to each other in Tadasana. We're standing nice and tall and strong. Again, bring your hands to your hips so you can kind of feel where they are in space. And let's step our right foot back a foot or two probably about 2 feet. So it's not a big lunge. My right toes are angled out just slightly, 10 to 15 degrees. Again, we want to avoid collapsing the knee joints back, straight and strong. Right hip forward, left hip back, so your hip should stay pointing forward. Same thing, I want you to find the movement of the pelvis, keep the front of the spine long. So as you inhale, open the chest, elbows back. Core, core, core. As you exhale, you'll start to tip forward. Now here we want a nice flat back, especially that lower back. We'll immediately, well, at least I immediately feel this stretch up the back of my left thigh. So we're getting into that hamstring. Inhale, create some space. On your exhale, you're welcome to move further into that space. But try not to round the back, at least at the beginning. So you're drawing the belly towards the thighs, extending the chest forward. Fingertips may drop towards the ground or your props to intensify the stretch. Little bit of movement, front foot to back foot, if you want to change the dynamic of that pose. Try not to lean too much to the left or right, keeping your hips level and square. Those of you that are further into the posture, you can tuck your chin, gently round the back, trying to bring your forehead to your knee, and that will stretch up more of the connective tissue all the way up the back. One more big breath in the pose. Inhale, halfway lift, especially if you've gone further into it. Lift your chest, find your fingertips. Now super strong, active feet. Exhale, one hand at a time to your hips. Press off that front foot and inhale, come up to the crown of the head. As you exhale, step right foot back forward. Reach your fingertips down into Tadasana. Pause for a moment. Feel your body, feel the effects of the pose on your breath. And we're just observing. No judgment, no labeling. Just observe. And another side, hands to hips. Toes and knees should still be pointing forward. Take a step back, couple of feet with your left foot. And you can still have some distance between your feet. Do not have to be on a tightrope here. The left toes will angle out just slightly. Draw your left hip forward and your right hip back. Unlock your knees, strong quads. Pull that low belly in. Lead with the heart. Inhale, open. On the exhale, pour your pelvis forward. So with our hands on our hips, we can kind of get a little better feel for where they are, so we don't want them shifting around too much. Might feel this pose a little bit more intensely one side versus the other. So we should be feeling it up the back of the right leg. Same thing, our breath is our guide. So you'll breathe your way in and around the pose tonight. Shifting the weight forward to back, make sure you're evenly balanced right to left. Belly eventually towards the thighs, maybe the drishtis towards that big toe. Unless you're a little further into the pose, tuck the chin, forehead towards that knee to stretch out the connective tissue of the back. One more big breath. Next inhale is our halfway lift to re-engage, to open up the front of the heart again. Find your fingertips and your props. Take some weight out of the hands, strong feet and legs. Exhale, one hand at a time to your hips. Press off your front foot and inhale. That is an inversion too, so make sure you're inhaling. Bring the head up. Exhale, left foot steps forward. Reach your fingertips down, stand and hold Tadasana. Simply observe the body and the breath. And then we'll take a quick break to clear our space again. So if you did bring some props into your space, we can move them off to the side here. And let's do one more balancing pose today since we're here. So we just stretched out those legs. Let's do our gentle hip and Vrikshasana or tree pose. So find your space, bring the insides of the feet and legs to touch. Let's take a nice deep breath in, reach your arms out and widen all the way overhead. Stretch up the front body. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Float the right heel from the floor at that hip. Open the knee out to the side. Choose your pleasure, foot down, placed below the standing knee, or reaching down and placing the foot to your inner thigh. Shoulders are relaxing away from the ears, no tension in the face. We can even put a gentle smile on our face. Maybe we're finding a little bit of balance here, or we want to challenge our balance by repositioning the arms. They can float upwards towards the ceiling. We got a breeze blowing us around. Remember, that's okay. We just come back to it. Or we can create a little bit of movement, purposely trying to throw ourselves off balance. Good. Beautiful trees. The trees I can see. Give me one more big breath in. On the exhale, join the palms, hands to heart. Try to point that knee forward, lift the leg up, and extend the foot out for 3, 2, 1. Samastitihi, standing stillness. The foot comes down, and again, we just pause. Keep your focus. Other side, left heel up, hip opens up. Ideally, try to find the same position on this side as you took on your first side. Shrug the shoulders from the ears, relax the face and the throat. Staying at our center, or exploring the space around us, reaching our branches up. We might already be swaying in the breeze, and we can add additional little sways and movements. We'll take one more big breath in, reaching up. The exhale, palms touch, hands to heart. Point the knee forward, lift the leg up, extend the foot out, keep your posture for 3, 2, 1. Samastitihi, standing stillness, foot down, pause, keep your focus. One more big breath in, circle those arms up. Take your drishti up to the sun, stretching out the front body. And on this exhale, micro bend your knees, swan dive, hinge from your hips, forward fold. If you moved yourself around, we can rearrange ourselves. I forgot to mention that, I normally do. Coming back towards the front of our mat. Forward fold again, take your variations, your modifications. Let the weight of the head and the shoulders just relax towards the ground. Inhale, float the heart, pull the shoulders onto the back, halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands. Take a big step back, downward facing dog, 1 foot at a time. Shift your weight back through those hips, down the back of the legs. Feel free to pedal your heels to deepen the stretch up the backs of the legs. Inhale, float your heels as high up as you can. Look at the creases across your toes. Exhale, we'll drop our knees to the ground. Keep the knees together for the more traditional child's pose. Flatten out the feet. Slide your hips to the heels and your hands back to those feet. Palms up. Head rounds down to the ground. See how heavy you can let your arms hang beside the legs to release the upper back. And then hands under the shoulders, tuck that chin. We'll round it up 1 vertebra at a time, or making your transition, whatever is best for your legs. You sat back on the heels. We'll shift our weight over to either hip. and slide our feet forward in front of us. So we will do a couple of our seated hip openers here and leg stretches. So you might want a little lift underneath your sit bones still, whether that's your folded blanket, your bath towel. I'm gonna prop myself up maybe 3 to 4 inches on my meditation cushion here. And again, if you need to rearrange yourself around on your ground, go ahead and do so. We'll start in Baddha Konasana, down angle pose. So I want you to sit up on your sit bones, move the flesh out of the way, the soles of the feet draw together. Bring your hands behind your hips, literally try to lift yourself up, tip your pelvis more forward to really find the front of your sit bones. And then lift up through the front body so the spine's nice and tall. Gravity, you can just start to stretch out those inner thighs. Hands can move to the feet and the ankles. On the exhale, if you want to go further into it, remember, you're again trying to pour your pelvis forward, the elbows draw back, and you lead with the heart. Those of you that have the space, you're welcome to place yoga props in front of you, maybe a block. Walk your hands forward, still leading with the heart, and go deeper into it. So whatever works best for your body. Those of us that are more upright, still concentrate on drawing the thigh bones into the hip sockets, releasing the weight of the legs down, and extending the heart forward. Two more breaths. Next inhale, we'll come up out of the pose. So if you're further into it, take your time, walk your hands in, float the head up. Once your spine is stacked, take a hold of your knees, float them up, bring your feet out wider than your hips. Weight into the hands, a gentle windshield wiper side to side of those knees. And then sit up nice and tall, Upavishta Konasana, slide your heels out. Our wide ankle stance. I still have my wedge underneath my sit bones. We need to make sure that that sacrum is perpendicular to the floor, natural curves up our back. So since we're trying to stretch out the back of the legs, we should be firing the muscles on the front. So strong quads, toes pulling to shins, toes and knees pointing up. Same thing like bound angle. If you have the space, try to get the movement in the pelvis, lead with the heart. If you're more like me, you'll be more upright. Two more breaths. Our inhale, when we get there, will float us back up out of the pose. Walk yourself back and up. Sit up nice and tall for the crown of the head. Reach for behind those knees. Help float them up. Feet wider than the hips. Weight in those hands. Again, little rock side to side. Loosen up those hips. So it's time to come on our back and do some of our bigger stretches there for our legs tonight and those hips. You'll scooch off your props. Have enough space behind you, and go ahead and have your straps or your prop waiting for you so you don't have to search for it later. You can just set it beside you. We can come to one side, walk ourselves down onto our back tonight, and then roll onto our back. And then I'll let you get organized on the ground. So loosen up your clothing, adjust the ponytails, recenter and align the body here. So we'll walk our feet close towards our sit bones here, feet parallel to each other. Reclining pigeon pose for the hips first. So straighten up your right leg towards the ceiling. Actively flex that right foot. Externally rotate, toes out, heels in. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh and continue to encourage your right thigh bone away from you. So right ankle on top of the left thigh. I don't know if I just said that wrong. Make sure your shoulders are tucked under, your head is in neutral, your neck should be curving up off the ground unless you need a little support for the back of the head. To go deeper, float your left leg in, reach both hands around the back of your left thigh. Even further, try to reach up and across the left shin bone, pulling the left knee towards the left shoulder and encouraging the right knee away from the body. So we should be feeling this in this outer right hip, into those deep rotators piriformis. One more breath. Drop the left foot to the floor. Re-extend the right leg up to the ceiling to bring the knee back to neutral. Drop the right foot to the floor. So everything is in alignment. Straighten your left leg up to the ceiling. Actively flex that left foot. Externally rotate that thigh so it should turn your heel slightly in and the toes out. Cross your left ankle on top of the right thigh. Keep your foot active. That protects the knee. Encourage your left thigh away from you. Little deeper. Pull your right leg up. Wrap the fingertips behind the right thigh, drawing that leg a little closer in. Or try to reach even further over the right shin bone, pulling the shoulders down, back of the head grounded, and breathing into that deep stretch on this side for a few more breaths. Make sure the face stays nice and relaxed. Relax the jaw. You can always poof your cheeks with air. When I'm actually in a practice of yoga and not talking, I am constantly poofing my cheeks with air. It's such a jaw clencher. So I guess I probably look pretty funny when I actually practice. But whatever floats our boat, whatever we got to do to release tension. One more breath. To release, drop the right foot back down. Re-extend the left leg up and drop that foot down. All right, let's get into our big single leg stretching, Supta Padangusthasana. Go ahead and grab your straps. We'll start with the right leg. Bend your right knee in, hooking that strap across the bottom arch of the foot so it's tucked in a little closer towards the heel. Hold your strap in both hands so the heart stays open. You can drop your shoulders down. Feel free to wrap the strap around the hand if you want to hook them in place. Remember, we want to get that leg as straight as possible at first. That means that we might have to let it fall away from us until the eye of the knee starts to open. And then from there, we can try to straighten it up more towards the ceiling. Slide the left heel forward. Keep your left foot flexed and active. Press the left thigh bone into the ground. Lengthen those inner groins all the way out through the inner heel. Gentle contraction of outer heel towards those outer hips. And then take a hold of the strap in just the right hand. Left hand on top of your left hip. You must keep your left side grounded, so use your left abdominals, anchor that leg. On the inhale, you want to pull your thigh bone closer towards the body, so you might need to bend the knee a little bit. Bend your right elbow and open the right leg to the right, elbow to the ground, tension on the belt. From there, you can try to re-straighten the leg. So we'd like that leg to be moving more up at an angle from the body. Continue to pull your left hip down, and we'll feel this across the front of the inner thighs, the growing muscles in the front of the pelvis here. Anchor the left shoulder down. Left arm reaches from shoulder, head turns to the left. Give me another deep breath. On the inhale, head and help the leg back up. Take a hold of the strap with the left hand. Glue your right hip to the ground. Angle the straight leg over the midline, 10-15 degrees. Massage those outer hip muscles again, or take your fist, gently punch into that area of the body. Big twist. Let the leg come over. The left elbow can work as a kickstand again. The leg will probably not touch the ground. Keep your right shoulder grounded, right arm stretches out, head turns to the right. Even close the eyes here and really just let the body release to gravity. Let your hand and arm do most of the work. Relax the jaw and the face. Inhale, floats the head up, help the leg up. Open your strap. Draw the left foot in and up. Waterfall pose to neutralize and take a pause. Other side, right foot to the floor. Bring the strap across that lower arch towards the heel. Slide that right heel forward. Remember to get your left leg as straight as possible, so adjust where it is in space until that can happen. Once you're in position, we're stretching just the back of the leg to start, drawing it towards that left shoulder. Keep your right leg just as active. Left hand will take a hold of both ends of the strap. Right hand will rest on top of your right hip. Activate your right side to keep it grounded in the back flap. Start to bend at the left elbow. Remember, you want your thigh bone to come closer to the body. So feel free to bend into that knee. Don't worry about it. You'll get a bigger stretch anyhow. And then open the thigh out so your thigh is moving more up at an angle. The leg will not touch the ground. From there, you can try to re-straighten the leg. Right shoulder grounds down, right arm can reach out from the shoulder, and the head can turn to the right. On the next inhale, help that leg back up. Right hand takes a hold. Leg is still straight. We're just angling it slightly across the midline at a diagonal. Massage that outer thigh or take the fist and punch into those muscles. When you're ready, bend right elbow, keep tension on the strap. Let the hip come up into your big twist. Left shoulder stays grounded. Reach the left arm out and look to the left. Close the eyes, relax the face, and just breathe. Let gravity help bring everything out. Exhale and let go of any tension or tightness in the body. Our next inhale, take your time. I'll help the leg back up. Open the strap, float your right foot up. Pause here, waterfall pose for a moment. And then bend the knees, release the strap. Cross one ankle over the other, let your knees fall into the body. Straighten your arms up, wiggle out your fingers for a moment, and then just let your fingers hang in dead bug pose, helping to undo a little bit of tension you might have created in the hands from holding our straps. Switch the cross of your ankles, take another breath. This is a really good pose to do too. If you work a lot on the computer, Just pulls all that blood out from those arms, helps take weight off the joints here in the fingertips. It feels quite nice. Big breath in. So on the exhale, just let your arms fall down beside you, uncross your feet, and plant your feet close to your sit bones again, a few inches between your knees and your feet. We'll press up into a bridge pose just to stretch the front of the hips for a moment before we go into our final relaxation. If you have a yoga block and you don't want to put the effort into it, you're welcome to lift yourself up inside the block underneath the low back. Make sure your shoulder blades are tucked under, the head is in neutral. Give your buttock a little squeeze, press into the ground to float your hips up. Your knees point towards your toes. We're stretching the front of the hip flexors. Walk your shoulder blades under even further. We can also try to bring the arms underneath and interweave all 10 fingers. If you're holding it with the power of the body, you're strengthening your backside, the hamstrings, the glutes, the low back. If you've slid your yoga block underneath there, that's okay as well. You can use that support and still receive that nice stretch. Just make sure the block is supporting the weight of the hips. Chest moves towards the chin. Chin does not tuck towards the chest. Your neck should still be naturally arching from the ground. Big breath in. On the exhale, we'll melt back down to the ground. Slide your prop out if it's there, obviously. Little rock of your knees side to side. Hug those knees in, float your nose up to your knees, give your body that nice big squeeze. And then bring the head down and the right arm beside the head, roll to your right. And then we'll press into the ground and just gently bring the body up so we can gather up our goodies. So like I said, if you have a wall nearby and you want to move yourself over to your wall for legs up the wall, feel free to do so. If you have the seat of the chair, you can bring a blanket, a towel, or an extra pillow on the seat of the chair. So when you bring your calves up, your feet are a little higher elevated. Still support the back of the head as needed. If you don't have those things and you just want to float some props underneath the legs or keep your knees bent or knees open in Baddha Konasana, you know the deal, whatever feels good for you. Those of us working our way up into legs up the wall or a variation of it, we can also cactus our arms. So you can bend your elbows out from beside your shoulders, allowing the backs of the hands to flop to the floor there. And that will just help open the chest and shoulders a little bit more. So we all might be doing something a little different. So I'm going to give us all a moment here to get ourselves set up comfortably. And as usual, I'll guide us through a little bit of relaxation tonight to help the body go into our place of peace and quiet. And then we'll rest in that peace and quiet for a few moments. And then I'll use my singing bowl to bring us out of our relaxation. And just like we put effort into every other pose we practiced today, we put as much effort going into this pose. So organize yourself accordingly, adjust your shoulder blades on the back. Allow both arms to be in symmetry with each other, equal distance away from the body in the same position. Relax the fingertips. Rock out the back of the head, finding the very back center of the skull. Use your eye coverings if you grabbed one. Eyes closed, sinking into the sockets. Poofing the cheeks up with air, wiggle out the mouth. And with the lips softly touching, releasing the tongue and the lower jaw to gravity. Relax the throat. Relax the heart across the chest. Relax the belly completely, all of the abdominal muscles and internal organs. Relax down the back, vertebra by vertebra, into the low back. Softening those larger muscles of the buttocks, the hips and hip sockets. Feel the weight of the legs. Relaxing the legs completely. Space behind the knees, the ankles, the feet and toes. Relax the whole body. Soften and relax the inside of the body. We let the breath become very easy, quiet. That if there was a string stretched out underneath the nostrils, it would not be disturbed by our in-breath or our out-breath. If the mind becomes distracted, we gently bring it back to the peaceful breath. Or we can rest the mind's eye at the third eye center, the space between the brow, our place of inner wisdom and intuition. Giving ourselves just a few more moments to let go, to feel a sense of surrender, and to simply be and breathe. So we'll gently come back to the rhythm of the breath. If you happen to be in legs up the wall pose, generally we slide the feet down the wall, open the knees wide back into Baddha Konasana and pause there for a moment. We can also start to gently wake our fingertips, toes, rock the head. If you're towards the floor in Shavasana or another version, you can stretch your arms overhead and do your long body stretch. If you're at the wall, you bring the knees together. You can try to push your feet into the wall and walk your shoulder blades carefully away from the wall so you scoot yourself a little away from the wall. And then we'll all walk our feet in and bend our knees up. From there, rolling to one side and pausing for a moment. And then try to keep the eyes closed or soft, pressing down into the ground. To bring the body back up, we will revisit any comfortable seated pose. Rearranging ourselves in our space as needed. Sitting up nice and tall for the crown of the head. Let's take a couple more nice big breaths together tonight. Extending the arms out from beside the body, palms up. Big breath in, floating those arms all the way up to the ceiling and gathering up everything we need for the rest of our night. Turn those palms back out, big exhale out, and float those arms all the way back down to the ground, letting go of all that other junk we don't need tonight. And let's take another nice deep breath together. Inhale, reach up. Palms touch, exhaling hands to heart, humbly bowing the head to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and anyone else that made it possible for us to all practice yoga together today. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So my continued thank you for all of you joining me, for your patience and your practice. A big thank you to Austin Yoga Tree and Jonathan and Nadeet and Vicky and everyone else doing the hard work behind the scenes. So good job, you all. I hope that loosened things up for you, helps us sleep better at night when we can relieve tension in our mind and body. Today is Wednesday, so I'll be back Sunday morning at 9:30.